An aggressive baboon defeated the savannah's most fearless creature, the honey badger, hanging its carcass in a tree to show off. Shortly after, he returned to the troop, defeating all challengers along the way to become the leader of the pack. His brutal nature struck fear into the heart of every troop member. Once in power, he began selecting a suitable female from the troop. The alpha eventually set his sights on Sabina. To protect her young infant from being harmed by the leader, Sabina had no choice but to suffer the humiliation of becoming the leader's mate. Yet Sabina's heart already belonged to another, a male baboon with whom she shared a deep, intimate bond, Rafiki. From then on, Rafiki would always come to the tree where the alpha rested, gazing up at Sabina. It was Sabina who had once brought him into the troop, but now she sat high up in the branches, eating figs reserved exclusively for the alpha and his chosen mate. Even so, Sabina would secretly drop figs down to Rafiki below the tree. It was their silent, unspoken connection. Finally, one day, while the alpha was resting, Rafiki gave a secret signal to Sabina up in the tree. Sabina understood instantly. Confirming it was safe, she nodded gently, signaling Rafiki to climb up immediately. Joining Sabina in the branches, the two began to rekindle their old affection. But the alpha wasn't truly fast asleep. Waking up to find his harem infiltrated, a wave of fury instantly consumed him. The alpha launched an assault on Rafiki, determined to brutally punish the male who dared to defy him. In the chaotic scramble, Rafiki fell from the cliff edge. Fortunately, he managed to grab hold of a crevice in the rock face, ultimately escaping the alpha's pursuit, and barely saving his own life. This terrifying, breathless chase did not extinguish Rafiki's love for Sabina. Instead, it only hardened his resolve. He would find a way to take Sabina back. Every year during this season, tall grasses sprout across the savannah, heavy with plump, seed-bearing ears. This is the baboon troop's favorite food. Rafiki followed the troop from a distance, his eyes tracking Sabina and her infant, silently watching over their safety. But danger was quietly closing in. The baboon on sentinel duty for the troop was the first to sense something amiss, instantly alerting the others to the threat. Moments later, a leopard emerged from the tall grass. His gaze was ferocious, yet he was outnumbered. Faced with a massive troop of adult baboons, he stood no chance of winning, and had to climb a nearby tree to avoid a direct conflict. Quickly scooping up her infant and running to the alpha for protection. Even with the leopard cornered up in the branches, not a single baboon in the troop dared to go up and drive it away. But Rafiki's eyes remained deadlocked on the leopard in the tree, terrified it might suddenly leap down and hurt Sabina and her child. Then, to everyone's utter shock, the usually submissive Rafiki disregarded his own safety entirely, climbing the tree alone to launch an attack on the cornered predator. The other male baboons in the troop, inspired by Rafiki's bravery, followed him up into the canopy to swarm the leopard. Leading the charge, Rafiki forced the leopard into the deepest parts of the crown. Ultimately, overwhelmed by the baboon's coordinated assault, the leopard retreated, leaping down and fleeing in humiliation. Rafiki did not stop there. He gave chase relentlessly, only turning back to rejoin the troop. Once he was certain the leopard wouldn't return. Witnessing Rafiki's heroic feat, Sabina's eyes filled with deep emotion and concern. Holding her infant, she walked to Rafiki's side, carefully checking him for injuries. However, the alpha quickly noticed the intimate moment between Rafiki. His jealousy and rage erupted instantly. he launched another fierce assault on Rafiki, taking all his anger out on him. Time and again he was beaten and humiliated, chased and driven away. Yet nothing could suppress Rafiki's love for Sabina. He continued to guard her from the shadows, never wavering. Sometime later, the Alpha led the troop to a marshland to forage. It was a place of abundance, but also full of hidden dangers. To avoid another confrontation with the leader, Rafiki kept his distance behind the troop. Yet his eyes never left Sabina, silently protecting her from afar. But disaster struck as feared. A thick python quietly approached the baboon troop. A piercing shriek echoed across the marshland. And he dashed immediately toward the sound, hoping to work with other members of the troop to pry the python apart and save their ensnared companion. But the python's coils were too tight. They tried again and again, but ultimately failed, forced to watch their companion slowly suffocate in agony. When Rafiki finally saw which baboon was trapped, he froze completely. It was Sabina. As the rest of the troop abandoned the scene, he alone stayed behind, trying to reclaim Sabina's body from the snake. But the python gave him no chance. Mercifully, Sabina's infant had survived, paralyzed with fear by the horrific scene. Staring at its mother's body, the infant's eyes were full of terror and helplessness. Then, catching sight of Rafiki, the figure it knew best and trusted most, the young one rushed frantically toward him. Rafiki did not turn away. Swallowing his profound grief, he gently gathered the infant into his arms and held it tight. He knew all too well that on this cruel savannah, an orphan cannot possibly survive without an adult baboon to care for it. From that day forward, Rafiki kept the orphan by his side, raising it as his own. But how will Rafiki manage to raise this child all on his own?